I mean, it sounds like the tariffs, which may be announced as soon as today, will cover a whole range of goods, including batteries, solar cells, steel and aluminum, of course, was already announced rather recently, electric vehicles and medical supplies. Now, there's been a lot of attention put on electric vehicles. At the end of the day, China doesn't sell a lot of electric vehicles into the United States. So this reported 102% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles is more symbolic than anything else. But President Biden, I think, is trying to find a way to, at the same time, protect the American economy and national security while giving American companies and industries space to develop in areas where China has traditionally been very strong, and to give them, American companies, the opportunities to fill that space. So these will be quite targeted, I think, in very specific sectors in an attempt to do that.
As I mentioned, Lou, we are already seeing Chinese companies preempting all this, circumventing some of the pressure we're seeing from the US. You've got the solar panels being made here in Southeast Asia to get around this. This is certainly a workaround we're seeing from the likes of BYD, of course, as well, in places like Mexico, a sort of backdoor. So how much of this do you think is going to be looking at plugging some of those loopholes? Because as I mentioned, that is probably going to prompt a more aggressive response from Beijing.
Well, I think these tariffs are definitely going to be looking at ways to plug those loopholes. And of course, the question of cars being made by China in Mexico has already attracted the ire or the wrath of presidential candidate Donald Trump. And, you know, of course, a lot of what Joe Biden is doing in these announcements it has a political angle. Whether it's political or not, it will have a political impact. And there is this contest between the two candidates, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, over who has the more effective response to the economic competition that China poses. And I think, you know, Donald Trump tends to take sort of a blunt hammer approach, and Joe Biden, in this case, is trying to take more of a scalpel approach and carve out industries where he can cause maybe harm to China, but less harm to American industry, and also allowing his climate goals to try to be reached. The reality is that a lot of the American climate initiatives around solar and wind and electric vehicles rely on Chinese input. And Joe Biden is trying to find a way to target that Chinese input, to reduce it, but without cutting it off so completely that America's climate goals are set back.